All right, back live with you tonight, John in Focus, and thanks for staying on. Gauteng Finance MEC Jacob Mamabolo says his province needs to aggressively secure more money or risk losing its position as South Africa's economic powerhouse. He made the comments of tabling his mid-term budget today, when numerous cuts were also announced. Mamabolo joins us in studio for more on that. MEC, good evening, and thank you very much for your time.
Good evening to you and to all the viewers, and thank you for the opportunity.
Long day. It started very early, and you had a very long speech that you had to go through to tell us some of your spending priorities. But the sense that I'm getting, at least from the experts and those who are analyzing what you're saying, there will be major cuts. 2024 MTF cycle is going to see even more cuts, even as we sit now. Major cuts in education and human settlement. But others would then listen to conversations that are happening around the campaigning, and they're saying, well, the MEC might be saying something, but the Premier is saying something else. You're talking at crosshairs, right? How do you cut while in the meantime you're promising people that you're going to scrap their debt at Eskom? Where are you going to get the money?
Yeah. I think, let me just... say to the viewers that we're very much pleased with the adjustment we have made in our budget. Today, we have increased our budget with about, 4.5 billion. When I started in this position in the last medium-term budget policy statement, we adjusted up by about 2 billion plus, almost 2.4. So today we do 4.5. So that's a big shift. The second point, I think today anyone would have listened to the mini budget speech would have realized that in actual fact the speech was well aligned to the messages, to the announcements, to the state of the province address made by the Premier. And our policy statement we made about a need to look at monies owed by particularly households to Eskom. When we started the discussion and talk about a need to relieve pressure from municipalities about the household debt, we got severe attacks about what exactly we were saying. But when you look at now, today we're announcing that in our province we're pleased that, municipalities have applied to Eskom precisely to deal with debt management. But when it started, it was difficult. So that comes from National and Eskom are dealing with that issue. Minister has given money to help Eskom. And of course, in our province, we've got municipalities that have applied. If you look at just the priorities of the province, fighting crime. Yeah. We are very aligned.
I'm going to come to that.
Very clear.
Let's stay with the power generation situation for a little bit. So what you're saying to us, essentially, this is something that would be handled not necessarily by your kitty, but will be handled at a national level where municipalities will need to apply for that debt cancellation. So, yes, I mean, there's a program of municipalities applying. And there's a criteria, there's a program they get put under. Mfuleni, for example, is one of the municipalities that has applied. And depending on how they perform on the commitments they make, then they're able to be taken into different stages of reviewing the debt. Yeah. But now that we're talking about this issue, I think the most exciting thing about our plans on energy today was the announcement we have made to take about 440 million, give it to COCTA, the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, which is the lead department in our engagements with City Power. Yes. And we are very much pleased that City Power has made a firm commitment to us through a business case that they do have capacity to improve the whole province, working with other municipalities to put something into the grid and over time make improvements so that at least we can improve power supply in the province. Okay. The second one is that they're talking to supporting things like water infrastructure that also get affected by load shedding, and it affects water supply, which is very critical to the economy. So we're also working with them to say, okay, what will it take to take water infrastructure systems out of the grid and run them on renewables? So on Thursday, we will be taking a tour, two of my colleagues, MEC Mutar and MEC Kumalo, to visit city power sites to see for ourselves the commitment they've made in the business case, to start to do oversight. Exactly what do you have? How practical and feasible is this?
Yeah.
So the point I'm making is that, I think next year we will be able to then concretely in more detail say, what is this relationship with city power in terms of the deliverables, at what point, at what cost, when? But
so that's what I wanted to come to. I mean, if you're giving them money, what is your expectation? They are talking about possibly an installation of smart meters, which is certainly going to help. Two, they are talking of putting solar masts at particular lights, so that they, even when there's load shedding, they remain on. But what we do know, for example, is that city power is also battling with old infrastructure, the power stations that keep on burning up now and again, transformers that get fried whenever lights are being switched on and off. Is that the expectation? Is that what the money the money that they're going to spend be spent on that? Which aspect of that would bring in new capacity?
That's exactly what the visit is about on Thursday.
Yeah.
It's because they've said we do have grid solutions. That means putting some megawatts into the grid, and in their business case, we wouldn't have given the money if the business case was not convincing to us that they can improve the grid. So we have also said, this grid solution, what you are talking about, we also want an independent expertise, so appointing a transaction advisor who will look at what they are telling us in the business case, technically test it, and say what they're saying they have. And we're not talking mistrust, suspicion, doubting Thomas. No. We're dealing with public money here. So they will then be able to say what they're telling you is feasible, can be done. They can bring something into the grid. And I don't want to preempt the visits on Thursday, but we wouldn't take visits to go see where installing meters, and so we really want to see this grid capacity. What exactly are we talking about? So they've talked to us about it in the business case that they submitted, which is the basis upon which we gave them the money.
Yeah.
But I will plead with you that Thursday, it's after tomorrow.
Yeah.
And everybody's allowed to come and join us.
Right.
So we will then be able to say, here is it.
Okay.
So I didn't want to start speculating on what resources are sitting there.
Yeah.
But we are also more interested in when we say to them, because the MOU says, and you'll see the sentence in the speech, it says grid and non-grid, or off-grid solutions.
Off-grid solutions,
yeah.
Yeah.
So we are also interested exactly in that point, that we hear the paperwork, but demonstrate to the people of the province that we will get value for money, and that indeed any investor planning on what we are saying as a province, because remember in the budget that we did on the 9th of March this year,
yeah,
we said we're putting aside 1.2 billion.
Yes.
But out of that, we are now transferring 440 million out of that. So we could have said to them, here's 1.2 billion. But I'm saying to you, if you were to permit me, could we wait for Thursday? Those questions will be answered much more succinctly and much more clearly. This is the capacity we're talking about.
Gauteng Finance MEC Jacob Mamabolo still with us today, who earlier on delivered his midterm budget, where numerous cuts were also announced. Mamabolo is outlining now with us, of course, where some of the revenue is going to come from. Smart driving licenses. How are you going to make money out of that?
So to reconnect with this, when we were coming out of the COVID-19 hard lockdowns, there was a challenge of long queues. It was a huge outcry about people not being able to renew driver licenses.
Yeah.
We immediately commissioned Gauteng and said, help us roll out pilot sites for driver licenses that are smart, that use cashless systems, modern, a new breed of DLTCs. That happened in Midterm, it happened in Centurion, and then, of course, they have one in their own offices again, next to the station in Midterm. And also almost a similar thing with RTMC in their offices in Waterfall and another one in Centurion. Smart, good systems. But let me talk about the Gauteng ones. So that was a pilot. They work so well. We get every cent. They are cashless. And most of them run on renewables. I mean, both of them run on renewables. So what we say, and you'll see in the speech, that we are giving the Department of Roads and Transport money to help us with rolling out the smart DLTCs, a new generation of DLTCs. So that is going to give us revenue, and I'm pleased that, the way Gauteng management did this, it gives us confidence and hope that if we roll this in the townships, it will make it easy for people to renew driver licenses, and also to apply for driver licenses. Remember that our economy is also dependent on the automotive sector selling cars. If we increase capacity for DLTCs, it's easy in the township, smart one, no long queues, no complications for new application renewals and whatever. Yeah. This also boosts car sales, but also to us it will generate revenue.
Yeah. What are your projections? What are you projecting?
So if you look at what we said today, we mentioned them, and we said we do not want to, at this point, because they're still going to be built, and so they're going to start building them now, because that's why we're adjusting the budget. We can't wait for March next year. We want the work to start immediately. So we then said, these ones, including the bingo licenses that are issued by MEC Mtara, Department of Economic Development, the Gambling Board, and of course the amendment of the regulations. So all this, including what we call banking technology to collect money, the cashless
payment system.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're saying a totality of these interventions we will then be able in the main budget speech next year to then talk to the total figures. If you listen to me today, I was saying to MEC Mutara when I was delivering the speech that what you are projecting, the projections you have given us from the Gambling Board are quite exciting. But we don't just want to announce them. And again, it's not that we're not, accepting what the department say. But we said to the MEC and the House today, to the members, allow us to go look at these figures. They are so good, they are very interesting, and we are excited about them. But again, can we go, because we have the opportunity to announce what this is going to happen in the next budget. So we are, given the pressures of poor economy, low tax base, low revenue, no money, cuts from national government, our approach in Gauteng is, in the last financial year, we raised 7 billion, coming still out of the difficulty of COVID-19, but we have done very well. So we are saying we do have immense capacity to increase our revenue base. Instead of, having difficulties of cost containment and cuts, let us go look for money using technology, using best practice, how to DLTCs, looking at the innovation at Gambling Board. And, of course, there are other avenues that we're looking at to raise revenue. So our storyline today was revenue to close the gaps on the cuts, the problems. Because in the next financial year, and I did say this year we lost 1.3 billion from conditional grants taken by national government. Yeah. But in the next financial year, as you said, 2024 MTF period, the 3-year period from 2024 financial year, the cuts are going to even be more severe. So it will not only be conditional grants, there's going to be cuts, and there are already projections of the cuts that are going to go into the equitable share itself. So if we don't start working now, between now, and that's why we can't hold this money to give to Gauteng, look at what Economic Development Gambling Board is saying, and look at all the things that we have announced today. If we don't start now in the next 6 months, when we go to the budget, we want to be able to say, we have collected so much revenue, and I hope it will exceed 7.1 when we give the figures in March next year. Yeah. We will then be able to say, okay, for this financial year and the MTF period, we will be able to collect so much money. So revenue collection, innovation, leveraging smart technologies, for us is top of the range. So that's what we're looking at.
Okay, let's talk about, as you speak of those conditional grants, the financial infrastructure lab. You're saying more than just having projects start and they continue and they are not finished. You also want to be able to measure the financial performance. So what is this lab going to do? Is it just going to be a big office full of computers and people just sitting there?
No, we never have that. People do their work, they work. We work in this province at Tibos. The finance infrastructure lab, it's a innovative way by us to look at the nuts and bolts of infrastructure delivery, the finer details of how we deliver infrastructure. Because normally we look at as Treasury, we look at the finances, how much invoices were submitted, is this project performing? Then this project is not performing. We've got a booklet that we table in the legislature. It's called Estimates of Capital Expenditure. In that sits all our projects, capital formation, as part of our budget. Many of these projects, they sit there year after year. They are not moving anywhere. There's no good performance. Some of the infrastructure start to even deteriorate. It's incomplete.
Yeah.
So
why?
What we are saying...
Why? Have you
and if you look at municipalities as well...
Why happens like that?
If we look at municipalities, is the challenge. We believe is the delivery process. There's what we'll be doing in the lab. We'll look at before we put a budget in the House for members to vote for it. I'm sorry, a project.
Yeah.
There are certain boxes we must tick. First one is the land on this project. If there's land, is it adequate? If the land is adequate, have you done dolomatic tests on the land?
Yeah.
Because we allocate money, there's no land. Okay, there's land, it's not enough. Then portion of it can be used because of the history of mining this province is dolomatic. The project can't move. Year after year, they're still looking for land.
Yeah.
Municipal approvals. We want to know if how far you and the municipality have gone to. You're putting a project on a land that is not zoned for that purpose.
Yeah.
When you complete the project you're about to complete, you can't get an occupation certificate. Why? Because this land is not the right one. So there are certain...
So case in point, the Tembisa school, which was built, and then it turns out there's a sewer line that is running across there. It's a school that's built, but kids can't go in there right now.
Oh, you mean Mamabolo?
Yes.
Mamabolo school, yes. Let's take that as an example. The circumstances around that, are there circumstances that could have not been known? Are there circumstances that should have been known? Engineering technology is quite advanced. We should have been able, good contractors, good engineers that we employ, should have been able to say to us, these are the risks. So the issue that we are looking at as Treasury is, so in some instances, you have a contractor on site, that contractor gets into financial trouble, put under business rescue, can't work, invoices are not coming. So what we are saying as Treasury is before we say to members in the House, this project, we think it deserves to be budgeted for, we should look at those issues. If a person doesn't submit invoices for 3 months, is it because they've got enough cash they can finance the project without invoices moving? Could be that they are no longer on site. So the lab must not just be... Currently what we do is that we do allocate money, we check invoices, we communicate with departments. But what we're saying is financial flows, movements of money in a project, financial performance of a project should be able to tell us if this project will be completed in time. We do get what we call scope change, where we appoint a contractor, they win a tender, 3 months down the line, they are varying scope. When you check, why are you changing scope and increasing the price? You have just started the work. Shouldn't you have known about these risks? Then there you have got a problem. They want you to augment the money. We have got difficulties with that, and that affects the
I have a minute.
So the point I'm just making is the lab must help us.
Is the lab not adding more bureaucracy, where it's going to now have to wait on the lab before it gets committed?
The time that the lab will take to check, verify, because they give a report to check, is better than the time that it will take to complete a project 10, 15 years that we could have dealt with in 2 months and see all the risks. So it's a question of which side do you want to take the risk on. It won't take time to take the... It's part of infrastructure planning, because many of the problems is there was poor planning from the beginning.
Yeah.
And infrastructure, you can't commence it halfway, you want to stop it and go back and want to fix something.
Right.
You must move in a linear way.
Okay.
Once you start with foundation, if it's a building, please move to the next levels.
Yeah.
You can't, when you are already with the roof, you want to check the foundation. So those are the things we're talking
completely
about.
Out of time, as always. Much appreciated. Thank you very much for coming through. There's still a whole lot of other areas we could have touched on, but of course...
Thanks, we didn't talk about e-tolls, but we're making progress on that. Good progress, and I think our story now is being believed, and we're very pleased about that. And thank you. Good night.
Good night. Much appreciated.
Much.
That is the ABC for Finance, Jacob Mamabolo. I'll be back with your headlines at the top of the hour.